and welcome back to my channel. This is my video number 2. My first video got 10,000 views, which is pretty exciting to me. I used to be just a small town girl, and now look at me, 10,000 views on YouTube. Thank you for subscribing, those of you who did, and those of you who didn't. The plague upon your houses. No, but seriously, I was wondering am I the only person who gets crazy thoughts in the shower? Do you take showers? Do you get crazy thoughts when you do? I don't know. I used to tell them to people, but then people normally think that I was completely out of my mind or high on drugs, and it was very difficult to dispel the myth that I was a drug user. And so I kind of stopped telling them to people and just got a journal to write the crazy things that pop into my head when I'm taking showers. And the other day I was just going through my journal and I came across this really crazy, trippy idea that I got concerning soulmates. Do you guys believe in soulmates? I don't know if I do believe in soulmates, but whenever something irks my curiosity, I become like this obsessive nutcase, and all I can do is research everything that is to know about this concept, right? So I was thinking about soulmates, and the reason I was thinking about them is because I had 2 friends in college, and people thought that they were polar opposites because they were so different. But I kind of knew that they were the same person, basically. Let me explain. So one of them, let's call the first one Jessica, because her name was Jessica and I have no shame. So Jessica, she used to date a different guy every week, to the point where she dated the whole city. And back then, when I went to college in 2000 BC, the buzzword slut shaming was not in vogue. So people used to shame her for being a slut, a so-called slut. But I was the only person who understood that she wasn't a slut. And Andrea everyone thought was the polar opposite of Jessica, because this was a girl who had never dated anybody, and it wasn't for a lack of interest. She had a lot of boys around her interested in dating her, but she would always say no to every single person. Maybe she would go on a first date, but there was never a second date with Jessica. Okay, she was a virgin even. So everybody thought these 2 girls were polar opposites, but I had talked to them. And this is the thing. They were both obsessed with the idea of the soulmate. On the one hand, Jessica, the so-called slut, whenever she was, dating a new guy, she would come to me and she would be like, Elle, I finally found him. He is the one. He is my soulmate. He completes me. But she was not a slut. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not like she was on Tinder, flipping through people and just having sex every night with someone different. She really thought she had found the one. And Andrea was also obsessed with the idea of a soulmate. Only in her case, it was the polar opposite reaction. In her case, nobody was good enough. She would meet perfectly good guys, normal, nice, handsome, interesting boys who were interested in her, and she would maybe date them, not date them, but go out on a date with them. And then she would be nah. I would ask her oh, how did the date go? Did you get along? Are you gonna go on a second date? And she would be no, Elle, I really don't think this is the guy for me. I mean, we're not really compatible. And I would be really? What happened? And she would be well, he ordered a 4 cheeses pasta, and I could never date a guy that eats cheese. And I'm okay. And then that cycle of crazy excuses would repeat over and over again, and she would just never find anybody that was her perfect match, her perfect soulmate. And that got me thinking into the whole concept of soulmates, because you have this 2 miserable girls who just cannot find, the person for themselves. And they are both the downfall of both of them is the concept of the soulmate. They're both obsessed with it. In the case of Jessica, the problem was She just was so obsessed with finding like her soulmate that she would see her soulmate in every single person. Like she would completely morph into like the compatible, persona for the man she was dating, and she would just completely interpret everything as a sign. Anything could be a sign that this was her true destiny. And in the case of Andrea, she was so obsessed with finding, her soulmate that she just wouldn't date anybody. Like nobody was compatible enough for her. And so that kind of got me thinking, like, who came up with this concept? Like the concept of a soulmate. Like, think about it. The concept of a soulmate is, here's this idea of that there's like souls, like every single person has a soul, and people are supposed to live in pairs, but there's just one perfect person for you out there. And the rest of the people, there's like levels of compatibility. Like you can find someone that you feel comfortable with. You can find someone that you're really attracted to. You can find someone that you find interesting or charming, or I don't know, your mom's gonna love because he's a doctor or a lawyer and your mom is Jewish. But there's just that one perfect person for you out there, and once you find him or her, then it's like coming back home. It's not even about lust or attraction or even finding someone's personality alluring. It's just this idea that you will find someone that will complete you, and once you find them, everything in your life is going to fall into place, and you will be happy ever after. You live happily ever after, and you just want to be with this person. And I find the idea, on the one hand, I find it like very romantic. Like this idea that you can, this perfect person for you exists out there, and it's like a lock and a key sort of thing. But at the same time, on the other hand, I can see the potential risks of buying into this idea, because I saw it on my friends. So I started thinking, so where did this idea come from? Like, who came up with this thing? And I'm a Jew, and I went to Jewish school, so I was trained as a Jew for maximum Jewish performance, and I know like the Jewish roots of the idea, which I will talk to you guys about later. Because first I gotta tell you about this crazy, insane idea that I'm pretty sure was Plato's shower thought that morning, and he just had to put it in writing. And everyone is under the impression that Plato is this crazy great genius from like, antiquity? From like way back. And he's like this crazy genius from way back. And maybe he was just high on something like really powerful, maybe mushrooms or something really high. Because this makes absolutely no fucking sense. And I gotta tell you, because I was researching this thing and I came across this, and it's like the craziest shower idea that I've ever read. And it goes like this. So Plato, as well as many of the Greek philosophers, was obsessed with geometry. And so he thought the perfect shape was the sphere. Are you following me? So the perfect shape is the sphere. So he said, and this is the crazy thing, he said that humans, hold on, I need a pen to explain this, and I can't find it. I'm sorry. Where's the pen? I had it on, oh, here it is. Okay. Anyway, here's the pen, finally. Here it is. Okay, so he thinks like the perfect shape is the sphere, right? And so he starts talking, and I'm not kidding. So he says that humans used to be spherical, okay? Humans had a sphere shape. I know many of you, including myself, do have a spherical shape today from eating too many cookies. I don't judge you. He just meant like literal sphere, like a literal sphere, like a ball, like a balloon, right? So humans had a spherical shape, and they had 4 arms and 4 legs and 1 head with 2 faces, one facing forward and one facing back. Like, let me show you, because this is just completely crazy. So like a sphere. So there's like a head with like two faces, something like this. You can look this up. I'm not making this up. I swear this is what Plato said. I'm not even kidding, okay? So this is like what he, and I'm gonna ask you guys to forgive my complete and utter lack of skill at drawing this thing, because I'm just kind of drawing this disregarding all laws of proportion and accurate anatomy are out the window at this point, and I hope you forgive me. But so wait, so this is what this guy actually wrote, okay? This doesn't even look like a sphere. This is so disappointing. I'm just trying to make it as spherical as possible. So this is what humans actually looked like, okay? According to Plato, this is Plato's idea of what humans used to be. Let's put some eyes in here and maybe some mouths. And Plato, shower thoughts. This is the shape of Plato's shower thoughts, okay? And I hope this thing will focus so you can see my artwork, okay? This is true art, true philosophy channel. Subscribe for shitty sketches. Subscribe if you have a spherical body. Subscribe if you love cookies. No, seriously, so this is what Plato believed. I'm not even kidding. So it has like 4 arms and 4 legs, as you can probably see here. And they were like round with one face facing forward and one face facing back. Imagine how life would be. Imagine going through life like a sphere with, 8 limbs and 2 faces. Wouldn't that be awesome? So anyway, so apparently humans were really successful at humaning, and they, at one point, they decided that since they were so pros at being human, that they now wanted to be gods. And so, Zeus got pretty pissed, and he was like, look, you cannot be a god, okay? You have a spherical shape, I'll give you that, but your place is down on earth with humans, not here in Mount Olympus, okay? So stop challenging me, or I'm gonna have to take measures. But they didn't behave. Like, they were going around doing cartwheels and being crazy. And so Zeus talked to the other gods, and he was like, dude, we gotta do something about these spherical people. Like, what the hell are we gonna do? They're challenging me. They're challenging my power. I cannot have that. And he wanted to destroy them. He was like, if we destroy the Titans, this is no challenge for us. Okay, gods? And the rest of the gods were like, well, yeah, but they pay tribute to us. Like, they burn incense. They give us, their daughters, whatever. I mean, we're not going to get rid of them. Like, who's going to pay us? Are you going to pay us? Are you going to burn incense in my altar, Zeus? I don't think so. So Zeus said, well, okay, I cannot kill these bastards, because then, all my brothers and sisters and children gods that are surrounding me are gonna murder me, because I'm, they're losing their income on my account. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make them miserable, okay? And he took like an axe and he just made them miserable, and he cut them in half like this. He cut them in half, okay? He cut them in half, and the spherical humans were now just semicircles, like my belly. And they were running around pretty, they were pretty miserable as half humans, because now, they have just half as many limbs as they used to have. They're no longer the perfect spherical shape that they like so much, and all their innards are hanging out because he didn't even sew them up, because Zeus is a bad person, so he didn't even sew them up. So I think it was Apollo that kind of said like, okay, dude, you don't have to make them this miserable, okay? Don't be such a bad person, Zeus. I'm gonna fix them. And so he sued them, like he turned their faces around and put their genitals in the right place and then like sew them up like a purse. And according to the story, like our navels are the remnants of this procedure. Like that's where Apollo like stitch the humans through the navel. And so now each human was just half a human, really. And they were forever looking for their other half, which would be their soulmate, So that's why they were all running around. And the coolest part of this theory, though, is that according to Plato, there were 3 types of human back then. Female humans who were children of the moon, I think. And male humans who were children of the sun, and then there were hermaphrodites who were children of the earth, because there were female, male, or female, male. And so that explained, homosexuality, because some of them were like male, and they were looking for their other half, which was the same sex as they were. It's a pretty trippy idea. So anyway, as crazy as this thing sounds, and that is quite crazy idea, I think the Jewish version of the explanation of the soulmates is better. And the Jewish explanation is, I don't know, are you still following me? Because this is just completely crazy. The Jewish explanation, and this is the part that I find the most interesting, of course, being a Jew and all. On the Bible, it says that God created. So when it says that God created Adam, it says that it created him and he breathed life into Adam to give him like a spirit or a soul, whatever. And that's how Adam, like, I guess, rose up, because he used to be mud. He used to be just mud, and then God like sculpted him out of mud, and then like he did his whole and Adam like became a human. Right? He got a soul. And then in the Bible as well, like months later, Adam was like walking around Garden of Eden, and he's like pretty lonely, okay? It gets lonely at night in the Garden of Eden. Sure, you have, an unending supply of cookies, but nobody to share them with. There's no Tinder in paradise, is what I'm trying to say. A man has needs. So he, he phoned God and he was like, dude, do you think you can do something? There's no Tinder. I got nobody to share my cookies with. And so God gave him like a partner. Now, on the part where it's describing how God gave Adam a partner, it says he put him in a deep slumber. It's weird. And then he took from his side, he created Eve. But it doesn't say anywhere that God breathed life into Eve. It doesn't say he did his all on her. So rabbis kind of started wondering, like, okay, how did she get alive? Like, how did she become a human if God didn't put a soul into her? So there were like 3 options. And they're all shitty for us women, okay? They're all shitty. But option A, Eve had no soul, and she was therefore, I don't know, a demon, I guess. I don't know. Second option was she had, like, God gave her a soul of her own, but it's not written down in the Bible for whatever reason. Maybe they ran out of space. Maybe the editor was really strict and he said 4,000 characters for Genesis and you gotta stick with it, God. Maybe he split Adam's soul into 2 and put half of it in Eve and half of it in Adam. And so they were 2 parts of the same soul. And then I think it's in the Kabbalah, they say that each individual soul has 2 components, a male component and a female component. And when these souls are like deployed onto planet Earth, so God splits them into 2 and he puts the female soul into a female baby, and the male's, part of the soul into a male baby. And those are the soulmates. Like if these two babies find each other when they're grown, then the soul is like whole again, and they can be like, you can be a little jiggy with it until they die, I guess. And the cool thing is that according to rabbis, like God never puts these two parts of the soul too far apart. Like he will usually deploy them like nearby so that they can actually meet and find each other. And that's the whole purpose of like finding a bride or a groom in Jewish tradition, I guess, like trying to find your soulmate, right? Still, it's kind of difficult to find it according to rabbis. It's not like everybody gets their soulmate, and you can still lead a pretty happy life without it, I guess. But that's the whole point of this. Is even if you don't believe in this, in any of this, I don't even know if I do. It's just like learning where the idea comes from. I'm sorry, my camera only records 30 minutes of video at a time. I know what you're thinking. I'm thinking it too. Anyway, what was I saying? So if Eve comes from the side of Adam, and God had to split Adam's soul into two, so to have like give Eve a portion of it, what happens when a woman is pregnant? Like when a woman's carrying like a baby inside of her, this is the same thing. It's like splitting one human into two. It's the same idea. So does God give the baby like a brand new soul, or does he split the mother's soul into two and gives the baby one? And what happens if a woman has like 5, 6, or 7 kids? Like, is this like 1/7 of a soul left in her? Is this why women become so mean when they have too many children? Do they? I don't know. I've never met anyone with 7 kids. But seriously, if God gives them a new soul, then at what point does he put the soul inside the baby? Is it like while the baby is in the womb? Because that's a little bit too personal, God, blowing into a woman's womb, like, here's your life, baby, into the person's womb. It's just kind of weird. And if it's from the moment of conception, like they say, so does that mean that the ingredients for a human soul are stored inside sperm and women's ovum? Eggs? Because that's like a whole host of new problems as well. Like, what happens when a guy masturbates? Is a peen a soul host, and he's like just wasting souls every time he masturbates? And what happens when a woman is born? Like, we're born with all the eggs that we will ever have in a lifetime. Maybe a woman doesn't have like half a soul. Maybe she has like 5 billion souls inside of her. Have you thought about that? Have you thought about that, rabbis? Because I don't think you have this figured out yet. I don't think that you know very well what you're doing. Maybe you should consider another career. Maybe try medicine, okay? Try law. You would make my mom very happy if you studied law. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did enjoy this video, click the subscribe button, hit the bell so that you get notifications that are annoying as hell, but you do want to see my face more often, so do it anyway. And ooga booga, I will see you on the next video. I don't even know how to shut this off.